Welcome to the podcast, Let's Talk PWS, a series all about Prader-Willi syndrome. I'm Susie.
And I'm Katie. Let's start talking.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode 18 of Let's Talk PWS. And today's topic is going to be provider forums and relationships with special guest Kimberly Herivel on the show. Thanks for joining us, Kimberly. Katie, why don't you give us a bit of a bio on Kimberly?
Sure. So Kimberly Herivel is a senior behaviour support practitioner and psychologist with Interaction Services, and she has over 13 years' experience in the disability sector. In 2018, she completed the Prader-Willi syndrome PWS professional qualification from the PWS Institute in Germany. And she has more recently presented at the 6th Asia Pacific PWS conference in Sydney in 2024 and the IPWSO conference in Arizona in 2025. Kimberly is the current Australian caregiver delegate from PWSA for the IPWSO Professional Provider Caregiver Board. Kimberly is passionate about supporting people with PWS and building the knowledge and confidence of those who support them. So, Kimberly, what inspired the creation of these support provider forums and what are they hoping to achieve?
So the support provider forums were originally raised by Georgina. So Georgina and Neil were talking at the 2024 conference in Sydney about the teaching and sharing sessions with parents and caregivers that used to occur during the PWS clinics many years ago. And Georgina was reflecting about how they were extremely useful to both parents and providers, and we're kind of trying to work out how can we get that started again. And so then that's what this way is what we're doing now. And what we're trying to achieve is that a space to share knowledge and share what we find works and what we find doesn't work, and kind of give us a space where we can all learn from each other, because nobody has all the answers. But it gives us a space to get together and develop a bit of a community of practice and just talk about what we're finding helpful.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
what are the top three challenges that providers bring to the forum to discuss with you in terms of how do we problem solve for this?
So the way we've done the forums is we've kind of had a topic that we've brought to the table for providers to join. The topics that we've started with is absconding, elopement, running off, however you would like to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of purposeful days, working collaboratively with families, and more recently we've just done a back to basics of supporting people with PWS. Because the topics we came up with were around what we were finding was kind of present in the sector at the moment for the people that we were connected with. But what I really like about the provider forums is that the discussions come from not necessarily the topics that we bring and we start with, but just from the discussion and the topics that branch off from that. So someone's story will trigger a question, which then will take us in another direction. So, for instance, if we're working through a problem that highlights the importance of staff consistency and communication, which comes up pretty consistently, that helps bring forth other ideas about how can we create that consistency in situations that may not fit the normal mold.
Yeah. And I think from going through that kind of monster truck phase that I keep talking about after school, what I found is that there can be a professional approach taken to this, and that people who work in homes and work with adults consistently for many, many years have a lot to teach us about what can we instill in our homes and our kids' lives and their day to get through things.
Yeah, and it's not about necessarily providers having all the answers. It's about working with families and the people with PWS to how can we support everyone
Exactly.
to the best of our ability.
Yeah, like things like Chelsea was hoarding, and Michelle said, "Oh, we have strategies around hoarding that they've actually learned at university that we could use from when Chelsea was 3 years old." So that's what I mean about taking that professional approach, is people who actually have learned and have an education around the things that we're trying to deal with, that we're seeing as behaviours. They can actually have strategies wrapped around them and to help us actually deal with it.
with that problem of hoarding, I mean, there's so many challenges, as we know, across the spectrum of Prader-Willi, but are you finding some of these strategies are really effective, and does it rely on the consistency across the support team? Because unfortunately, for most people who have got support workers in the mix, a lot of them aren't. A lot of them don't have the consistencies of support. Just inherent of the nature of the industry these days. I think Katie used the word recently, turnstile. The sector in its own right has got people just churning through, and in Prada we want that routine. I'd love to have nothing. I'd love nothing more than to have the same support staff for Steph day in, day out. But realistically, I don't think that's achievable. So how do you create that routine and then embed those strategies to get a better result?
Whoa,
It's a big question.
like
Sorry.
I feel like that's the $1,000,000 question. How
Yeah.
do we create that consistency? Because we all know how important it is. And I think ultimately it comes down to knowledge and sharing knowledge and having people understand that why it is so consistent or why we need the consistency. And that's what's really good about the provider forums. You can be somebody that has an interest in PWS. Maybe you're working with one person with PWS and you want to know a bit more. Please come along to the forum so you can learn from people that are doing it with maybe a wider team or a smaller team or in different settings. Maybe you're in a day program, maybe you're a support coordinator. Because then I think it's easy to go, okay, we need consistency, but then how do we get that in to place with, as you say, it's like the turnstile approach that we're having a lot under the sector at the moment.
Yeah.
And for me, I would hope the goal is that if everybody who works with people with PWS understands why we need consistency, then they can go to the stakeholders, whether it's a parent or a SIL manager, and go, what do you need from me? How do you want me to approach this concern?
I noted that you have a professional qualification in PWS. What is that, and how can we all get that in Australia?
So that was done, I said 2018 in the bio. So in sort of 2017 and 2018, Interaction had Norbert and Hubert come out from Germany and run 5 days of training with us, and then have some supervision over the next few months as well. And then they came back in the March to then do another 5 days of further training, and we had some projects and stuff that we did as well. And then that meant that we had that qualification at the end of the 10 days and the 6 months in total that we were working through.
So what did you have to go
how you
through?
get it, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm intrigued what type of metrics are used there to get a qualification in PWS support.
Well, so we covered a range of issues in that Norbert and Hubert presented. So we did introduction to Prader-Willi syndrome, behavior analysis, behavior modification, communication, development of a concept to support people with Prader-Willi syndrome, the neuropsychology of Prader-Willi syndrome, challenging behavior in PWS and the de-escalation management, sensory integration, and case supervision and supervised internship. So there was not just the face-to-face learning that we did with Norbert and Hubert, but then the concept that we were working on in the background. Where that goes from there, I'm not really sure. Neil was part of it, so Neil came up from Melbourne to join us in Sydney to do the workshops and stuff as well.
Do you think it's something that we can actually run here?
I would love it if we could. If we could get them back over, I think that would be wonderful. Because I know, even talking about, as you say, the change in the sector. So we had a group of, I want to say maybe 15 people that completed the training. And of those 15, as far as I'm aware, there's only like 3 or 4 that are still working in the space. So it's kind of a lot of knowledge that gets lost over time as well. So I think it would be time for a refresher.
Yeah. And also, if they can put it online, that would be really great.
Yeah. Well, we're in a new world now after, because that was all pre-COVID when we did that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How long does the training run for when PWSA runs the provider forums?
An hour and a half to 2 hours.
Hour and a half.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Amazing. So the next forum's all about relationships. Why is it such an important topic for anyone supporting someone with PWS?
I think so. Relationships, they underpin every aspect of support that we have for our guys with PWS, whether it's building trust with the support staff, navigating family dynamics, supporting friendships, or managing social conflict. And I think part of the challenge is we hear so much about food challenges in PWS that sometimes it gets forgotten about that relationships, connections, and belonging is another fundamental human need as well. And that people with PWS, they deeply want close friendships and relationships, but sometimes the social cognitive challenges can make that challenging. So then how do we help them? How do we support them to do that? And look, we don't have all the answers in the forum. It's just a good chance for us everyone to get together and talk about what they find works and what doesn't work. And this relationship topic actually came out of the discussion with the Owl group from a couple of months ago. And they had such incredible insights into what makes healthy and unhealthy relationships. So we're hoping to get them involved in some way. Not 100% sure what that looks like yet, but I'm pretty excited. I think it'd be really cool.
Fantastic.
That's amazing. Okay, so how frequently are these provider forums being held?
So we had one in May, and our
Mm-hmm.
next one is in September.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to run them more frequently, and I do know there's a bit of a demand for them to be run a little bit more frequently based on feedback. But it's just trying to get the ball rolling and to get it moving. So ideally, I think we'd like to do 3 or 4 a year. But this year we've only just managed to get 2 in at this point.
And is there a fee associated with it?
Nope, please just come along,
Oh,
just
that's
sign up
fantastic.
and join us.
That's really good because, yes, we have come across quite a few service providers, and I don't know. I mean, I can't talk to other disabilities and different syndromes and so forth, but we always find ourselves saying that Prader-Willi is so nuanced, and from my own experience, I just feel that it's really hard to get into the mindset of a person with Prader-Willi and then tailor the way you support them, whether you're informal support or whether you're professional support, but to tailor your support around them, because it's really turning everything that you would normally do on its head and doing it completely differently. And
We're
that's
very counterintuitive.
that's really difficult for someone to just get their head around, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think I had a support provider just the other day say, "Oh, it makes sense now." Like we did some training with the PWS clinic around dietary needs of people with PWS,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd spoken about it, but then all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, okay, now I understand. I get it now." Um, which then that trickles down into the rest of the team as
Yeah.
well, which then means better support for the person with PWS.
Yeah, we call it adequate support. So when someone's fully supported, they should be at like baseline with, their anxiety is kind of dealt with and or handled. And I really,
Hmm.
really love bringing that professional approach to our home. I know that Chelsea loves all of her providers. She always talks about her friends. Really, really important part. And I know if Chelsea's really happy where she's going to, she always goes. So we don't really miss a day because she's so
Hmm.
happy about the people that she's going to see. It's really a
Hmm.
magnet for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The support providers on the ground doing the day-to-day stuff, they're the foundation of support for our guys with PWS. Um, and so if they can have a good relationship with their support providers and that they know those support providers can help them manage their anxiety, know that what they're going to do, what they say they're going to do, and they're going to do the follow through and they're going to be consistent and all that sort of stuff, we see much better outcomes for our guys with PWS.
Yeah.
Kimberly, while I've got you here, my Kim's very close to me. She'd kill me if I don't ask this question, but is there any
Oui.
advice that you can offer from your extensive experience about how to navigate and try and help a person who's got prolific skin picking?
So a lot of the skin picking stuff I will defer to the PWS clinic around. because then they have sometimes there's medication that's in place for skin picking. We sometimes do I'm put on the spot. Give me a sec. Let me
Sorry.
collect my thoughts a little bit. So all set for provider forums. The Even just some of the things around keeping their hands busy, nails cut short, like all the preventative stuff,
Yeah.
but also managing the anxiety. If the skin picking is anxiety driven for that person, there's so many things that I could say, but I'm really hesitant of saying stuff that might not be entirely appropriate without details. Do they
Yeah.
have any connections with sort of like the PWS clinic?
Yes, they do. But look, it's just more of a general question because I know quite a few praters who do have problematic skin picking, my daughter included. And just in a way, it comes down to I've had some healthy debates with behaviour practitioners about that because they're saying it's her choice and her control. And I'm saying, well, no, that's, if she's hacking at a nail and ripping her nail out, I will not have a support sit back and let her do that. I want them to step in and, grab her hand. And if you want to call that a physical restraint, knock yourselves out because I'd rather have that, even though the physical restraint is really just, guiding her hand and redirecting her, as opposed to just letting her sit there and butcher herself. Yeah, because then I would call that negligent. So it's just, it's just a really difficult terrain to navigate in the world of choice and control.
Yeah, and I think I find these days a lot of people, because we're living the NDIS space, and the NDIS space includes restricted practices, and because we include restricted practices, it includes the NDIS quality and safeguards, which then everyone gets really nervous. And that then comes down to working with the family and working with the professionals around what can we set up. And if it ends up having to be a restricted practice, then we go down that path.
Exactly, and
But
make them
it
routine.
it does not mean that you don't do something if someone is at risk because we're worried about it being a restricted practice. Oh, you've touched a chord. That's probably one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
And it's an intense and complex support that they're providing, and restrictive practice comes hand in hand with that. Because that's why it's intense and complex.
Yeah, well, I'm almost I have my views, and I almost feel like Prader Willi needs its own set of rules or restrictive practices because what we do as caregivers, informal, formal or otherwise, a lot of the time it is for their own benefit. So why is it restrictive? But then we have to go through all the hoopla to make it routine. But anyway, that's
And then you difference from state by state.
Oh yes, and let's just throw that into the mix.
It's different.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know that when their anxiety is handled with other things like food security, routine, consistency, reliability, the skin picking does tend to improve. Well, it did for Chelsea anyway. She had one going for 2 years that when we brought in that adequate support, we beefed up all of her support, and she really felt like she was at home with her carers because it felt like home, but also because they just knew what they were looking at, and she just knew these guys, they know what to do with me. Then she stopped skin picking, and we haven't had skin picking ever since. So it's been like 3 years.
Yeah.
But every person with Prader Willi is different. But that was just brilliant.
Yeah, I guess a lot of families out there and mothers in particular, they're looking for answers. They're wanting fix it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the fix it is really there except for trying to apply the best laid strategies that are out there.
Yeah.
And as you said, everyone's different though. So just because it works for someone doesn't mean that it's going to be either work at all or work as well for somebody else.
Yeah, and then even if you implement the strategies, it could work. Just say Katie and I were on doing the support for Steph, for example. It might work for Katie day 1, 2, 3, but then absolutely fail for me.
Yeah.
So is there no answer?
It's a mystery.
There's no one size fits all, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know.
No one size fits all. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, we could talk about this topic for hours. I really want to get under the bonnet of the whole behaviour practicing, but I think that's probably best left for another episode downstream.
Yeah. And I think what we want to really do is really promote that this is a forum for
Mm.
all of our support providers to come and just come into the room and talk about things that they will be seeing and experiencing that might be different, that they don't have answers for. This is the place to come to get that real education, because you do have that, that teaching from Norbert and Hubert, where it's with people who've lived and breathed Prader-Willi 24/7
Mhm.
for many
Mm.
years and decades, that we can really glean from. So, really highly recommend anyone working with our kids to come along and to get that support, but also a place where they can reach out and ask their questions as well.
Yeah, and it is all about that. It's about the sharing of knowledge, but not necessarily knowledge that I have or Neil has or Michelle has or Georgina has, but from everybody that is on the
Mm.
Yeah.
call. It's a space for everyone to come and talk about what's working, what doesn't work for
Because
Yeah.
them.
it's an uplift in your skills. It's something that's
Yeah.
kind of next level from what you're going to get at university. It's really specialized, it's technical, and it's just a place where people can increase their skills. And yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to train the sector. So thank you very much for joining us, and for putting these on. So we just hope that it gets even bigger and better from now on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
As we close tonight, don't forget to sign up as members at pws.org.au, where you'll also find ways to donate and sponsor our various projects and initiatives. Please remember to like, follow and share us on our socials. And until next week, let's keep talking.